What the hell is a Groyper? After the arrest of Charlie Kirk's alleged shooter, things have only got more bizarre. Everyone is trying to figure out what he believes and why he may have done this, but the only way you can begin to understand it is if you have an in-depth knowledge of the internet, because it's all very strange and the conventional news does not know what to do with it. Luckily, you're in the right place, because we have everything you need, as always, right here on Scroll Deep, the show that keeps up with internet nonsense so you don't have to. A suspect has been arrested in the shooting of Charlie Kirk. Tyler Robinson, who is 22, was arrested pretty quickly after the shooting, although not that quickly. The FBI seemed to do quite a bad job. Also, he was turned in by his dad, seemingly, so the FBI didn't really do anything. But anyway, almost immediately after the suspect was revealed, everyone rushed to decide which political side would be taking the blame for this. Is he a leftist? Is he right-wing? I mean, far right is probably the closest, actually for you, far right is here, isn't it? Far right is probably the closest you could place him to a point on the traditional political scale, but then after that we start venturing into the bizarre world of Groypers, 4chan and shitposting. So come with me now on a journey into one of the strangest and most dangerous parts of the internet. The Groypers are a very extreme group, I guess, collection of people who are loosely led by a guy called Nick Fuentes. It's a sad day that I have to talk to you about Nick Fuentes. Groyper, by the way, is this frog. And then of course you're gonna go, but why is it the frog? You've got to stop asking questions. Nick Fuentes is a... That's not me exaggerating, that is what he would tell you he is. I'm gonna have to use loads of algo speak in this episode. He's a Yahtzee who loves the mustache man. But yeah, he's a very, very scary guy. He was the guy who went viral for saying,
"Hey bitch, we control your bodies. Guess what? Guys win again."
Lovely guy. And he leads this group, the Groypers, and I think what everyone is struggling in the mainstream news and politicians, all this, what they're struggling to understand is like, what do these guys believe? And that's the trap, because the answer is nothing. Life is a joke, and all that really matters is destruction. It's black-pilled, it's nihilistic, and we see that with the messages that were apparently written on bullets that were recovered. By the way, did you know you can write like sentences on bullets? How do you do this? Like when you get your name written on a grain of rice, like, do they have machines? How do they do this? Some of the messages included, "Oh, Bella Ciao," which is like an anti-fascist song. And you go, oh, anti-fascist, but that's apparently in a video game where you can play as the Germans during World War II. So as you can imagine, that's very popular among these kinds of guys. And that song is in the game, and even though it's an anti-fascist song, they're using it ironically. It's all just layers and layers of irony. It's like that bit in The Simpsons where those teens are there and they're going,
"Are you being sarcastic, dude?"
I don't even know anymore.
Like, no one even knows anymore. One of the other messages written on the bullets was, "If you read this, you are gay, Lamau," which is also proof that he can't be a leftist, because if he was leftist, he would have written, "If you read this, you are gay, Lamau," and that's great. And I support you, and I'm bi as well, so we can all be mates. Now look, I could go through each and every one of these messages and try and explain specifically what they're saying, but again, you're falling into the trap, because the point of these messages is that they are nonsense, they are memes. The shooter put them there as a joke, so that the police and politicians and respected journalists would have to say, "Notices bulge out loud," and discuss it in a serious voice. They believe in nothing. It's about destruction. And this was a point of tension between the Groypers, led by Nick Fuentes, and Charlie Kirk and his people, the sort of MAGA people, because the Kirk people and the MAGA people, they do believe in something, in the sense that they are working towards something, which is basically as a white Christian ethno-state, if you go all the way to the end point. That's what they're aiming for. Whereas the Groypers aren't aiming for anything. They have no goal or purpose. It's just chaos. People talk about the black pill. God, this episode really could be 9 hours long if I went into every single term. Black pill is just kind of this ultimate nihilistic belief that nothing matters at all. It reminds me a lot of popular fictional character, the Joker. I'm da Joker, baby. So when I see people online looking at this suspect and trying to determine some kind of coherent way of thinking or coherent politics, you're not going to be able to do this, right? For example, the far right and even apparently the FBI is absolutely obsessed with trans people being blamed for shootings. The FBI was trying very openly to find a trans person to pin this shooting on. It was actually insane. Now that isn't borne out in any kind of data or truth, like it really isn't trans people who do shootings by and large. It doesn't stop them because they've decided they don't like trans people and so they're just gonna go for them. There's a very tenuous suggestion right now that this alleged shooter has a trans girlfriend or a trans friend or a trans roommate or met someone who was trans once. And they seem to be basing this on the fact that this person used a TikTok filter like 2 years ago that makes you look vaguely feminine. I think that is the only proof they're going for, that this person the shooter knows is trans, and apparently was like whispering Lady Macbeth style into the shooter's ear telling him to do the shooting or whatever. But again, what's silly here is that people are going trans equals left wing, or he knows a trans person, therefore he is left wing. And again, you're applying too much logic to this. You know, Groypers and anyone who is that extreme, they are completely self-contradictory. It's like how you get like, you know, there are trans MAGA people, you get super far-right guys who are dating trans women. It doesn't follow any internal logic. Most people, if you drill down into their politics, it makes absolutely no sense. A 5-minute conversation with the average voter would make you insane. And all of this kind of nihilism, there's a left-wing component to this too, which is kind of separate from like the Groypers and all that. But, you know, there's a general sense of malaise and of the world not working properly and people kind of turning to like believing in nothing. A lot of it's also like a very male problem. You know, you got to figure out what's wrong with the boys. That's a whole other video. But we're going to pause the episode there. And before we continue, we actually... Wait, are you going to fire something at me? Does that feel...
just say the line.
Okay.
Damn it.
We have a quick announcement.
Happy
Birthday to you. Happy birthday, Scroll Deep. Happy birthday to you. Way. Yes. It is the second birthday of Scroll Deep. I really wish that fell on any other episode, but there we go. Thank you so much to everyone who's been watching for the last 2 years. We love doing this. Oh my God. I've been told that apparently Crabble Rowan is pregnant and is actually giving birth right now. Luckily, I'm a crab vet, so I can help deliver. Push! Oh my God, who's this? A new lovable friend? Should we name this friend? Actually, let's let the audience name this new character. Yay. There we go. That'll bait some engagement. What should we name this new round friend of ours? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you haven't already, follow Scroll Deep. We are so close to getting 1 million followers. It'd be so nice if we could hit 1 million followers right now. Let's do it. Anyway, back to the story. Quite hard to just whiplash back into this. Now, of course, there may be a fear, and I think we might already see this in op-eds and the newspapers and stuff. There might be a fear that these Groypers and this movement may grow and may become a bigger problem. And I don't believe that really, because it's a movement of people who are outside the normal world. They are isolated, they're alienated. They basically have like internet-induced psychosis. And that is a movement that by definition is never going to reach critical mass. You're never going to have President Nick Fuentes, thank God. But it is a movement that is very good for producing shooters and dangerous people. So that's good. The only thing that is for sure in this crazy story is that the second this suspect was arrested and revealed, the right and MAGA really moved on. They were very openly disappointed that it wasn't some blue-haired leftist, and they all changed their tone and started being like, well, we have to pray for his soul. Anyway, and then they all moved on. It's quite sad how quickly they've all moved on. Like, Donald Trump cannot even pretend to care about this anymore, which is very depressing. Only a day or so after the shooting, a reporter said to Trump, quote, "Condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie. How are you holding up?" And Trump replied, "I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all those trucks? They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. It'll be absolutely magnificent structure." He's heartbroken, clearly. Stephen Crowder, a sort of peer of Kirk, he changed his bio from #2 conservative show to #1 conservative show. About a day after Charlie Kirk died. Pretty heartless. Charlie Kirk's widow has made some strange moves. She posted a video of his body, seemingly, and is also now fundraising, which feels a little soon, but also, you know, I guess she can grieve in her own way. The only person who actually seems to genuinely care that Charlie Kirk is gone is Candace Owens, who, we don't have enough time to discuss Candace Owens, but she seems genuinely upset. Like, she is posting as if she lost a real friend. Everyone else has already moved on. So I hate to say it, but this is something where I don't know if we will draw any big lessons or conclusions, or really anything much will change unless you can kind of de-radicalize these people who spend too much time on the internet. It is the damn phone sometimes. But that brings us to the end, and I'd love to know your thoughts about all this. Let's keep it sensible in the comments. Let's keep the temperature nice and low and kind of discuss what we think. And then we come to the secret question. People who made it all the way to the end. Let's make the secret question name the lovable tennis character. But to show that you were someone who made it to the end, I want you to start your answer with, "I do believe it should be named," right? And then that will set you apart from the people who just watched halfway and then naturally assumed that we wouldn't obviously go back into the story after doing all the party stuff. I'm Benny Townsend, this has been Scroll Deep. Goodbye. I like the tennis friend. That's really fun.